I still remember the first time I saw Marcus at the shipping yard. It was one of those gray Seattle mornings where the fog rolls in thick off the Puget Sound and everything smells like salt water and diesel fuel. I'd just gotten hired on as a loader, fresh out of a relationship that had left me feeling like I'd never figure out how to do this whole love thing right. I wasn't looking for anything. Definitely wasn't looking for him. He was standing on the loading platform with a clipboard, talking to one of the crane operators. Even from 50 feet away, I could see how the other guys looked at him, not just with respect, but with this kind of genuine affection you don't see much in places like that. Marcus was the dock foreman, which meant he basically ran the entire operation. 6'2", built like someone who'd spent years doing the physical work before moving up to management, with these broad shoulders and hands that looked like they could move a container by themselves if they had to. I was assigned to the night shift, 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. Marcus worked days. I learned this within my first week, and I'm not gonna lie, part of me was relieved. There was something about the way he'd glanced at me during orientation, just this quick moment where our eyes met and held for half a second longer than necessary, that made my chest feel tight. I'd convinced myself I was imagining it. Guys like Marcus, guys who commanded that kind of respect. In a place like this, they weren't looking at guys like me. But then the schedules started changing. It was subtle at first. I'd been on nights for 3 weeks when I came in one Monday and found out I'd been moved to the swing shift, 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. My supervisor, this gruff guy named Danny, who'd been working the docks for 20 years, just shrugged when I asked why, said something about optimizing the crew distribution. I didn't think much of it. The swing shift meant I overlapped with Marcus for the last few hours of his day. He'd usually be finishing up paperwork in the dock office, a little prefab building with windows that looked out over the whole yard. I'd see him in there sometimes when I was moving between containers, always focused, always working. But I started noticing he'd come out more often during those overlap hours. He'd do walkthroughs, checking on operations, talking to the crews, and somehow he always seemed to end up near wherever I was working. The first time we really talked was about 6 weeks into my time there. I was having trouble with one of the forklifts. The hydraulics were acting up, and I was standing there trying to figure out if I should radio it in or if I could fix it myself. Then I heard his voice behind me. Hydraulic lines probably got air in it. Happens with that one. I turned around and Marcus was standing there, close enough that I could smell his cologne mixed with the ever-present scent of the docks. He had these dark brown eyes that seemed to take everything in, and when he looked at me, really looked at me, it felt like he was seeing more than just another dock worker. "I can show you how to bleed it," he said, "if you want." I nodded, not trusting my voice right then. He stepped closer, and for the next 10 minutes he walked me through the process. His hands moved with this easy confidence, and a couple times he'd guide my hands to show me what to do, and every single time he touched me, even through work gloves, I felt it everywhere. "You're doing good here," he said when we finished. "I've been watching. You work hard, you don't complain, you show up on time. That matters." "Thanks," I managed. I need this job. I'm trying to get my life together." Something shifted in his expression then, got a little softer. "Yeah, me too, every day, you know, just trying to get it right." There was weight in those words, like he was saying something more than what was on the surface. We stood there for a moment, and I swear the whole noisy chaos of the shipping yard just faded away. It was just us and this feeling hanging in the air between us that felt terrifying and exciting and impossible to ignore. Then his radio crackled and someone needed him at the north gate, and the moment broke. He gave me this small smile and walked away, and I stood there next to that forklift, feeling like something significant had just happened, even though I couldn't quite name what it was. After that, we started talking more. Nothing deep at first, just work stuff, but it grew. He'd ask how my day was going. I'd ask him about problems with shipments or crew scheduling. Sometimes during my breaks, I'd see him in the dock office and he'd wave me in, offer me coffee from the pot he kept going. We'd talk about the city, about the Seahawks, about nothing and everything. I learned he'd grown up in Tacoma, that he'd started working the docks right out of high school, and worked his way up over 15 years. I learned he was divorced, had been married to a woman for 5 years before they both finally admitted what they'd probably known all along. That was 8 years ago. He'd been single since then, focused on work, on building something stable. I think I was afraid, he told me one night. We were alone in the office, the swing shift winding down, and somehow we'd gotten onto deeper topics. After the divorce, after finally being honest about who I am, I just threw myself into this job. Safer, you know, can't get your heart broken by a shipping container. I laughed, but it was hollow. Yeah, I get that. My last relationship, I thought we were building something real, but he just wanted someone to fill the space until something better came along, made me feel like I was always going to be the temporary guy. Marcus looked at me for a long moment. That's his loss, his mistake. You know that, right? The way he said it made my throat tight. Some days I know it, other days not so much. Well, he said, for what it's worth, I think you're the kind of person someone would be lucky to build something real with. I didn't know what to say to that. The air in the office felt charged, and I was suddenly very aware of how alone we were, how the windows were dark now, how his knee was almost touching mine where we sat on the edge of his desk. That's when Danny knocked on the door, needing Marcus to sign off on some paperwork, and again the moment dissolved. But something had shifted between us. We both felt it. The schedule changes kept happening. I'd come in and find I was on a different shift, always one that gave me more overlap with Marcus. Other guys started noticing, making comments. Nothing mean, mostly just ribbing me about being the foreman's favorite. I laughed it off, but inside, my heart was racing every time, because I was starting to wonder if maybe, just maybe, Marcus was doing this on purpose. It was Tommy, one of the older guys who'd been there forever, who finally said something direct. We were in the break room, just the two of us, and he looked at me over his sandwich and said, "You know, Marcus is the one changing your schedule, right?" My stomach dropped. What? Kid, he's got final say on shift assignments, has for years, and in all my time here, I've never seen him take such an active interest in making sure someone's schedule keeps changing. Tommy smiled, not unkindly. He's a good man, one of the best, and I've seen the way he looks at you when he thinks no one's watching. I couldn't breathe right. I'm not trying to cause problems. You're not causing anything. I'm just saying, if someone was moving heaven and earth to make sure they got to see me more often, I'd probably want to know about it. He stood up, clapped me on the shoulder. Just think about it. I thought about nothing else for days. Every time I saw Marcus, I was hyper-aware of everything. The way he'd smile when he saw me, how he'd find reasons to work near where I was, the way his hand would linger on my shoulder when he was showing me something. All these little moments I'd been cataloging in my heart without even realizing it. I started paying attention to the schedule changes too, really looking at the pattern, and Tommy was right. Every 2 or 3 weeks, my shift would change, always to give me more time overlapping with Marcus's hours. He was doing this. He was actively rearranging the entire dock operation just to be near me more. The realization was overwhelming, because it meant this wasn't just in my head. It meant Marcus felt this too, whatever this was that had been building between us for months now. I decided I had to say something. I couldn't keep pretending I didn't notice, couldn't keep dancing around this thing that felt bigger than both of us. So one night, near the end of my shift, when I knew Marcus would still be in the office finishing up, I walked over there. My heart was hammering so hard I thought I might pass out. He looked up when I knocked, and his whole face brightened. "Hey, what's up?" I stepped inside and closed the door. The office suddenly felt very small. "I need to ask you something." His expression shifted, got more guarded. "Okay. Are you the one who keeps changing my schedule?" The silence that followed felt like it lasted an hour. I watched emotions flicker across Marcus's face. Surprise, worry, something that might have been fear. Then he sighed and ran a hand over his head. "Yeah," he said quietly. "That's me." "Why?" He looked at me then, really looked at me, and I saw everything in his eyes that I'd been too scared to hope for. "Because I wanted to see you more. Because every day you weren't here felt wrong somehow. Because I've been trying really hard to be professional and appropriate and not overstep. But the truth is, I look forward to the hours when you're here more than anything else in my life right now." My breath caught. "Marcus." "I know it's not appropriate," he continued, the words tumbling out now like he'd been holding them back for too long. "I know I'm in a position of authority and I shouldn't be messing with schedules for personal reasons, but I couldn't help it. These past few months, getting to know you, talking to you, just being near you, it's been the best part of my days. And I'm sorry if that makes you uncomfortable. I can stop. I can put you back on nights and we can just forget this whole thing." "I don't want to forget it," I said, stepping closer to him. "Marcus, I've been feeling the same way. I just didn't think someone like you would ever look at someone like me." "Someone like me?" He looked genuinely confused. "Someone who has it together. Someone respected and established and confident. I'm just a dock loader trying to figure out his life." Marcus stood up then, and we were so close I could feel the warmth coming off him. "You think I have it together? I'm a 42-year-old man who's been too scared to really live for the better part of a decade. I've been hiding behind this job, behind being the responsible foreman because it meant I didn't have to risk anything. And then you showed up and suddenly all I could think about was what it might feel like to take a risk, to let myself want something, want someone." "What do you want?" I whispered. He reached up slowly, giving me every chance to pull away, and cupped my face with one of those big, capable hands. "I want to take you to dinner. Real dinner, not the taco truck by the dock. I want to learn everything about you. I want to figure out if this thing between us is as real as it feels. And if it is, I want to see where it goes, if you want that too." I leaned into his touch, my eyes closing for just a second. "I want that. God, Marcus, I've wanted that for months." When I opened my eyes, he was smiling, and it transformed his whole face. Then he leaned down and kissed me, gentle and careful, like I was something precious. The whole world narrowed down to that moment, to the feeling of his lips on mine, to the way his other hand came up to my waist and pulled me closer. I kissed him back, pouring months of longing and hope and fear and want into it. When we finally broke apart, we were both breathing hard. Marcus pressed his forehead to mine. "I should probably stop messing with the schedules now," he said, and I could hear the smile in his voice. "Probably," I agreed. "But maybe you could just put me on the same shift as you permanently. You know, for efficiency." He laughed, and the sound filled up something in my chest I hadn't realized was empty. "I think I can arrange that." That was 9 months ago. We took it slow at first, keeping things quiet at work, not because we were ashamed, but because we both valued the professional environment Marcus had worked so hard to build. But people figured it out eventually. It's hard to hide the way you feel about someone when you're around them every day, when just seeing them across the dock makes you smile without meaning to. The guys were good about it. Some of them had probably guessed long before we made it official. Tommy just gave me a knowing wink and said he was happy for us. Danny grumbled something about young love and then bought us both a beer after shift one night. Marcus did officially put me on the day shift permanently, but he also made sure to document everything properly to show there were legitimate operational reasons. He's careful like that, always wanting to do things right. It's one of the 1,000 things I love about him. We have dinner together most nights now, either at his place or mine. We've started talking about maybe getting a place together, something with a view of the water, somewhere that feels like ours. He's teaching me about the business side of dock operations, says he thinks I could move into management eventually if I want to. I'm teaching him that it's okay to want things, to let yourself be happy, to take risks on love. Last week, we were at his apartment cooking dinner together. Well, he was cooking. I was mostly just watching him and stealing bites of things. The sun was setting over the Sound, painting everything gold and pink, and suddenly he turned to me with this serious expression. "I need to tell you something," he said. My heart jumped, old fears rising up. "Okay?" "That first day you showed up at the dock, I saw you and I felt something shift. I didn't know what it was then, didn't want to examine it too closely, but looking back now, I think some part of me knew, even then, that you were going to change everything." He took my hands in his. "Every schedule change, every excuse I made to be near you, every moment I spent figuring out how to see you more, it was all because I was falling for you and I was too scared to just say it." "Marcus," I breathed. "I'm not scared anymore," he continued. "I love you. I'm in love with you. And I know it's only been 9 months. But when you've spent as long as I have not really living, you learn to recognize when something is real. This is real. You're real. We're real." I was crying, I realized. Happy tears. The kind that come when something you've wanted so badly finally becomes real. "I love you too. I've loved you probably since that day with the forklift, if I'm being honest." He kissed me then, and it felt like coming home and starting an adventure all at the same time. When we broke apart, he was smiling that smile that still makes my heart race. "So," he said, "I was thinking maybe we should make it official, find a place together, build something real." I thought we already were building something real. We are, but I want more. I want everything. Waking up next to you every morning, coming home to you every night, building a life together, not just moments stolen between shifts. I pulled him close, buried my face in his neck, breathed in the scent of him that had become as familiar as home. Yes, I want that too, all of it." We stood there in his kitchen as the sunset faded to twilight, holding each other, and I thought about how sometimes the best things in life come from someone being brave enough to move heaven and earth just to be near you. How love isn't always the big dramatic gestures. Sometimes it's the quiet, persistent choice to keep showing up, to keep trying, to rearrange your whole world just to make space for someone else in it. Marcus moved heaven to get us matching schedules, but the truth is, we both moved our whole worlds to make room for this love. And standing there with him, planning our future together, I couldn't imagine anything more worth it. The dock is different now when I go in. It's not just a job anymore. It's the place where I found him, where we built this thing between us piece by piece, conversation by conversation, shift change by shift change. Every container, every forklift, every inch of that dock is part of our story now. And yeah, sometimes the guys still tease us. They'll make comments about the foreman's favorite or ask if I need any special schedule accommodations. But it's all good-natured, and honestly, I don't mind, because they're right. I am the foreman's favorite, and he's mine. And we found each other in the most unlikely place, built something real out of fog and diesel fuel and the courage to keep showing up. That's the thing about love, I think. It's not about grand gestures or perfect moments. It's about someone seeing you, really seeing you, and deciding you're worth the effort. It's about being brave enough to rearrange your life, to make space for something that matters. It's about taking risks even when you're scared, especially when you're scared. Marcus took that risk for me, and now we're taking all the rest of them together, building a life, building a home, building a future that's ours. And every day I'm grateful for that first schedule change, for his courage, for the way he moved heaven just to be near me. Because that's what love does. It moves heaven. It rearranges everything. It takes the ordinary and makes it extraordinary, and I get to live that every single day with him.